Hello, everybody. I am hoping you can hear me. Welcome back to Archaeology with Flint Dibble. Let's play R.M. Brown's intro's theme song for me while we wait for a few more people to join if they're late.
Intro video, too.
Yeah, there you go. The internet's wild.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. I've been watching R.M. Brown since, I think since 2021 or something like that. So to see you two together is like two of my worlds colliding. It's hilarious.
The internet is so strange to have people making songs about my name.
Yes.
I'll take it.
And it's like, oh, my parasocial friend is making a song about my real life friend.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we are joined today by Dr. Marijke Stoll, who is a longtime friend of the channel and a Mesoamerican archaeologist. She focuses on archaeology around Oaxaca. And she was here for the Real Archaeology event. We talked Quetzalcoatl, and we're planning on republishing that interview in the near future. So rock on.
Yeah.
Say hi to
awesome.
everybody.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Of course, yeah.
Talk about archaeology, especially my favorite part of the world, Mesoamerica.
And one of the videos we're working on right now will be a bit about this hunting Atlantis thing that we took place in a couple of years ago. But that's a secret for everybody. That's going to blow everybody's mind when they find out that like Morgan Freeman's family is coming after me.
I know that. Well, there's my surprise Pikachu face to find that out.
You already knew that. Come on. Okay, but let's get to the business of the day.
Yeah.
The business of the day is the fact that Mr. Beast produced another archaeology video.
Yeah.
And I reviewed a previous video of archaeology that Mr. Beast had done. Wait, you're not supposed to be big. This is supposed to be big. And to be honest, I was surprised.
Oh, that's not smart.
Dude, I'm literally in a tunnel in ancient Egypt that nobody's ever been before.
So before we literally all die and see the underworld for ourselves...
I mean, this is just a cringe fest. Or is it? Look, as an archaeologist who tries to present an accurate picture of archaeology and history to the general public, I'm going to make a real hot take here on you, Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, I loved your video. I thought it was a fantastic masterclass in debunking pseudo-archaeology conspiracies and sharing behind-the-scenes footage in high quality that the public has not typically seen inside the pyramids. So let's think about why. So yeah, so he had done an earlier video which I reviewed and I thought was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Let me see this. Wait, where was it? There it is. The money scene from this first video. Yeah.
Jimmy,
Yeah.
come here. This is one of the names of the gangs who built the pyramids.
And what these are is these are quarry marks. These are marks from the different groups of workers who were transporting and building the pyramid, because it wasn't just... And so, you know, Mr. Beast in that first video, he did a really good job of sharing real archaeology, working with real Egyptologists like Zahi Hawass there. And it had some jokes and whatnot, but it was quite good. Now, the one for today was a little different, or the same. I don't know. We're going to play good cop, bad cop, I think.
Yeah.
And in this case, he still has his pyramids obsession, but he went to some pyramids in Mexico. So let's play the opening clip from this, and then we'll get into the controversy, and then we'll let Marijke tell us her take and whatnot.
We just got dropped off on this 2,000-year-old ancient temple! Where we're so high up and we're surrounded by jungle. See you later! Let's go see what we can find. In this video, we're going to exploring dozens of ancient temples, all of which hide ancient Mayan secrets from the world deep underground. Everything you guys are seeing now, the Mayans didn't want us to see. Nobody gets to go where we're going, including exploring one of the 7 wonders of the world. But we only have 100 hours to make discoveries. Dude, I'm discovering.
It's the same theme, same way of presenting it. It's, you know, and in many ways I thought he did some real archaeology, but there was a controversy. Here's NBC News covering it.
Influencer who has 395 million subscribers on YouTube, surprised at the level of access.
I can't believe the government's letting us do this.
And in another moment, advertising his snack product.
The only Mayan-approved snack on the planet.
In the video's caption, the internet celebrity thanks Mexico's National Institute of Anthropology and History for allowing him to film. But the agency who filed the suit saying in a statement that it gave the firm representing Mr. Beast, Full Circle Media, permission to film at the sites, but not monetize the video, and that they are now demanding compensation for damages. Adding, the INAH condemns those who, for commercial gain and private profit, dare to distort the value of archaeological sites, which are a legacy of our indigenous cultures and the pride of our nation. Full Circle Media did not respond to
So that's the scandal. I'm not sure if there's actually a lawsuit happening. That seems to have been, it was initially reported that Mexico was suing him. Mr. Beast denies it. By the way, the president of Mexico denounced this video.
And all of it even growing to the point where the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, addressed it during a press conference. Where they're saying that permits were granted for his trip and video, but also noting that a review is needed to see if the permissions granted were violated and what sanctions would follow if that was the case. And we got that as you also...
So this is kind of strange. There's all of a sudden this big political hubbub over an archaeology video on YouTube. Admittedly, that video has 60 million views. So as our friend R.M. Brown would put it, if it's got views, it's news.
Exactly. For the muscular class. And if you know R.M. Brown, you know that drop. Yeah, so I guess the way to start this, would you want to address the controversy first, or like my thoughts on the video?
You tell me. Yeah, go.
Okay, well, yes, I guess since we're already on it here, basically, according to Article 31, when INA grants authorization to any sort of project, archaeological, or let's say it's a film crew, when they grant any sort of permissions regarding archaeological sites, they specify the terms and conditions under which like the work can be undertaken, right? And you have to be very specific. So, for example, in the case of archaeology projects, in order to get the permits to even do work, we have to specify where and how much we're going to excavate, exactly what we're going to do. So, for example, we propose to do 2 horizontal trenchers at this particular structure. We're going to do 10 test pits in these areas, right? We have to also repeat, what are you going to do with the artifacts, right? What are you going to pick up? What do you expect to find? How do you plan to deal with it? And then, if you encounter a burial, what do you have to say, we're going to excavate this burial and this is how we're going to do it. If they don't grant you that specific permission to excavate burials, and let's say you're doing some excavations, you come across one, you're not allowed to dig it, right? So you have to be very specific in what you're going to do, and you have to follow through with that. And INA only gives you permissions to do particular activities. So for my dissertation research project, I emphasized that I would not be collecting any artifacts. So even though I came across a lot of great surface stuff, I could not collect it, right? I could not touch it. So it appears to me what happened with Mr. Beast is that they had permission for filming, right? Which is also, it can be hard to get. I know that one time a group of archaeologists, we went to Monte Alban and we had some film equipment, nothing big, just a tripod, right? So we could take maybe some still video, and they wouldn't let us come in with it. We had to explain what we were going to do. We were going to do quick shots of our crew chief talking in front of things. They're like, okay, and we didn't have the requisite permissions, right? And also, accessing those restricted areas, he would have had to have specific permissions for that. So the issue is that it doesn't appear that he sought permission to have to film for commercial purposes, right?
Yeah, and so that's weird to me, because on YouTube everything's commercial. YouTube
Yeah.
plays commercials over your videos, even if you don't monetize it. It's
Yeah.
commercial. And so I guess the big issue was that they filmed an actual commercial during it, though.
Yeah, so here's the follow-up to that is that, okay, it can be for commercial purposes, right? But they're very specific in what they allow to, what those purposes can be. So tourism, obviously, they'll give permissions for that. But they do not want sites being used for advertising or personal profit. So the issue is that like, unlike, let's say, just producing a documentary, which you have no control over the monetization of that, right? That's one thing, right? You're filming for an educational purpose. You're not filming for a commercial. Although it's accepted that commercials will, like if it's going to be broadcast on TV, right? Because they have very specific rules regarding broadcasting. So that's acceptable. That is fine. But what he did is he embedded the promotion within the video.
Here, let's watch that promotion now.
Yeah.
So that people can see it. So this is what made this video problematic. Near the end of the video, they had their dinner.
To our final night, cheers. Enjoy the Mayan tacos. And to wrap up the night, we have a special Mayan dessert, the brand new Feastables peanut butter cups.
Wait, brand new, but it's a Mayan dessert?
Don't ask questions, it's dessert. Here you go.
The king of marketing over here.
Bro, look at how much peanut butter is in there. Isn't it sad that there are humans on this earth whose taste buds have not been blessed with the brand new Feastables peanut butter cups? So if you want an ethically sourced, amazing tasting snack, make sure you reach for Feastables. It's good. The only Mayan approved snack on the planet. Before I go to sleep, I want to let
So I have
you
two
guys know that I'm giving away
thoughts.
5.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so one, and I see in the comments someone mentioned that he didn't film the commercial at the site. It doesn't matter. The fact is that they embedded the promotion, which is for personal profit, right? Embedded it within the video. So now it seems like a 15-minute extended commercial for Mr. Feastables with Mayan pyramids thrown in there, right? So that is the issue right there, is that he wasn't approved for commercial filming, nor did he, and also the fact that it's for personal profit. So that violates like two of INA's like rules regarding filming at archaeological sites. The other thing is that the fact that he calls it the only Maya approved snack.
Yeah, the Maya approved snack. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes. Okay, so it has peanut butter. Peanuts are from South America, Peru and Bolivia specifically. And I was trying to find out like whether maybe the peanuts had made it up to Mexico prior to Spanish colonialism, or if like it only appears with the colonialism. And it seems there's some back and forth, but at the very least what we can say is peanuts do not have their roots in pre-Hispanic indigenous cuisines in Mexico and Central America. So let alone would they have peanut butter. In fact, peanut butter is actually not something really eaten in Mexico anyway. So I think that too, that goes towards their claim of promoting false information. So that's the other charge that they're kind of upset about, is this promotion of false information. And part of that includes the CGI footage that they added in at the beginning to imply that they flew or that they were dropped off and picked up by a helicopter on top of the temple.
Yeah.
Obviously, that would never be allowed because it's the upper structures that are also very delicate. And you could just imagine just with the rotating blades and everything, like what it could blow off of the Mayan temples. Like some of the combs, architectural combs on those temples are again very delicate. I think also that they were upset about the drone that they had. It seemed like they had flown it into.
Oh yeah, let me play that part because it actually links to what we were just talking about. Wait a second. I gotta unmute it because I was playing that in the background.
Which begs the question of what Mayan secrets lay in that ancient room. Out of respect for the culture and all the people who hold this very sacred, we are not going to touch the temple. Instead, we're going to fly this drone up to see what's in that secret room. You cool with this?
Yeah, this cool.
Godspeed. Oh my gosh, this looks so majestic.
Part of it.
I'm dying to know. All right, let's see what's in this room.
It's just the way
Wait.
or what?
Arthur, the room's empty.
Well, 500 years ago, the Spanish came here and they take a lot of the stuffs inside.
But before everything was sadly stolen, this is what historians believe the seventh wonder of the world looked like. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually very beautiful. And while we didn't find any gold, I'm grateful that I can even visit these ancient monuments and share with you guys. Thank you so much. Guys, I love you, Mexico. It's been great. See you later.
Okay. So what's wrong with that scene?
Well, I mean, part of it looks a little digitized, but they're very strict on the use of drones over archaeological sites. So that they would have had to seek permission specifically to fly a drone, right? So you can film, if you have the permission to film, you can film there. But then if you want to add a drone in, then again, you have to specify that. And I guess what they're claiming is that footage of a drone going in there, that's not real.
Yeah, so it looks like it's not real. Ina has said that it did not occur and the shot was in fact recorded outside the structure. It's all digital. To be honest, to me, this complaint is a nothing burger. Like, you know what? That footage looked really cool. It showed
cool,
off,
yeah.
and he actually, this is one of my compliments to Mr. Beast from the previous video as well, is he made it really clear, out of respect, we're not going to touch this monument. Also, making sure to inform everybody watching, don't go fucking climb that goddamn pyramid because you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
And so
sorry.
I think that's fine. I find a little bit of CGI. I think that was actually a really ethically well done thing that captivates the audience in my mind. That's why I think got bad cop here.
And I think they could explain that. I think they could have explained that better. But I agree with you. I don't quite see the issue. I think for me, it's that they sent the drone up there, they looked around, and they're like, oh, there's nothing here. And it's like, don't you guys see like the beautiful like stone carvings in the columns?
Yeah, it's just a joke.
And I know, and I just I couldn't find it, but I actually visited the temple when I was 10, so years ago. Back when you could still climb it. And so there's a photo of me standing in that same doorway looking out, and you could see the mural painting. Of course, they had to ban people because, people would be touching the walls and it was destroying the murals that were inside, which is part of the reason why we're not allowed to climb it. And I actually want to commend Jimmy or Mr. Beast for a couple different things. I liked when, for example, when he was inside the chamber near the Tree of Life, and he makes that statement about, if I were Mayan and I was seeing this, I could totally understand from their perspective how this would be a very sacred site. I really appreciated that. The fact that he said Kukulkan, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing right there. He addressed the temple with the proper name. That was very cool too.
Oh no, I was just putting it on mute behind you.
Yeah. There was a bunch of things that I liked and I appreciated about. I'm sorry, I'm echoing. While you're playing the video. But I liked that. But it was really interesting to me was that for a video that was supposed to be about temples, half the runtime is actually spent on ball courts and caves. And there was all this build.
Wait. Before you move to your specialty, because this is one of your specialties, is ball courts. Okay. I wanted to just show my favorite part of the video because I thought it was really well done. And what's also cool is this is also Mr. Beast's favorite part of the video. Here, wait, let's make sure we're not muted. Oh, and I have to go to this.
One of my favorite part of these videos is when we take old paintings and bring them to life. So this is our best estimation of what they represent.
Bro, this is so cool.
This is a rare glimpse into what the life of a Mayan looked like 2,500 years ago. This is amazing.
No one really thought that was a llama. Can we talk about this?
Colin, you thought that was a llama?
Because look, I thought that was the eye, that was the mouth, and I thought that was the leg.
Yeah, I thought you were smart. And after I picked on Nolan.
And you know, I think that kind of stuff, it brings the past to life in a certain way. That is really valuable and can bring more tourism and attention on archaeology in a real way. And so, you know, there is some good to this video. I do want to make that clear, despite the fact that it seems like he violated his contract, perhaps with Ina. Yeah, and
I guess the other thing that, the other critique I would give is just the sensationalism, the constant, oh, we're seeing things that the Mayans didn't want us to see, or we're going places archaeologists are not even allowed to go. Yeah, archaeologists are allowed to go there, again, with specific permissions. We have to get permissions for it, and to demonstrate why we like, what's the purpose of us going down there. But archaeologists are allowed to go down there. In fact, it was archaeologists and restorers that, you know, put in those roof beams and dug the tunnel to get to the center. And so, you know, he brings up that part of, oh, the ancient Mayans buried their secrets, but then goes on to explain that, well, one temple is built on top of another and built on top of another. So when we're going through the layers, you know, it's like we're going back in time. So there's this kind of like mix of a lot of respect for the archaeology, at the same time, a play up of sensationalism for views. Which is why, like, I wasn't as annoyed with the video as I thought I would be after the first 17 seconds. I actually walked away with it being like, it wasn't terrible. I wasn't angry. I didn't blow a nerve or a vessel. But at the same time, you know, it sucks that the Maya, again, are kind of reduced down to, did they sacrifice people? Were people sacrificed here? And we don't hear anything about, you know, their beautiful language, which was both art and you know, communication style. We don't hear anything about the, you know, aside from the beautiful buildings, but their murals, the artwork, the astronomy, that they were like brilliant mathematicians. Right. So again, it's, you know, it's reduced down to sacrifice, but we were just about to get on it, so we might as well. They did talk about the ball game, which
let's do this. And Marijke here is an expert in the ball game. Her PhD was on it. She has publications on it. So let's see what Mr. Beast and his team have to say, and then we'll see what your take is on it. And just quickly, since we were on it about the sensationalism, I hear you. I find the sensationalism to be a little cringe. But at the same time, the video has 70 million views, and it's communicating some important ethics about not to climb and how to act, and also communicating respect for the past and current people there. So
and past people's perspectives too, which is why I'm going to give him the flowers there. You know, sensationalism aside, it wasn't a bad video. I appreciate that he is bringing these sites to people's attention. I guess my quibble about sensationalism is just, you know, me being an archaeologist and just like, but we have to accept a certain level of sensationalism.
Marijke, this is why I have this channel, to actually present how archaeologists think about this stuff. But, you know, there's a role for a variety of different ways to communicate archaeology is how I see it. Okay, let's move on to the ball game. Let's have some fun while we still got you, because I know I got you for about 20 more minutes. Let's do it.
But for day 4, I wanted to know what the Mayans did for fun, starting with the first ever team-based game to use a ball. Over 3,000 years ago, the Mayans invented the game of pits, where you score by shooting a ball through a small hoop, kind of like basketball. Only you can't use your hands or your feet. But remember what we said all the way back in day 2. The losing captain's head would get cut off.
The head?
This is hard. Honestly, we're gonna get the hang of it. And although we started to get a handle on the ball, it's safe to say we were still far from scoring. So I even brought in our camera guys to help out. But even then...
So just imagine that ring now being like several meters higher up, right? And then trying to get the ball through it. But I guess to sort of unpack some of the things that were said there, no, the Maya did not invent the ball game. It is around 3,000 years old, perhaps older. But who invented the ball game? That's going to be really hard to determine because we kind of see it coalesce, like formalize in a couple different areas. Highland Central Mexico, parts of highlands in Oaxaca, as well as the Soconusco region on the Pacific coast of Chiapas and Guatemala. And in fact, the first, I think, earthen ball court was built at a site called Paso de la Amada in Chiapas. So who invented it? Who knows? It was probably a tradition that people brought with them, or people were already kind of playing even back during the Paleo-Indian and Archaic period, because the first balls, before they discovered rubber, the first balls would have been graft stuffed deer hide, which they were still making even when the Spanish arrived. Like if you didn't have access to rubber, you would use that. You would never use a human head. That does not work.
Yeah, no.
And then so pits is the name for. There's a couple different names for ball games even in the Maya region because there was many different types of ball games. So pits is probably more of a post-classic game. Played with the hips. That was the one. And then where they show them shooting it through the hoop, that was definitely very post-classic. It was something that we see more in the central Mexican region, the Altiplano of Mexico, so around like Tenochtitlan and those areas around the Great Lakes. But at the time in the post-classic, when the great ball court was built, Chichen Itza would have been sort of like a Mexican Mayan site, right? Some groups from central Mexico came in, and so they kind of brought that hoop with them. And now you didn't have to score through the hoop, right? That wasn't how you won that game. But if you did score through the hoop, then it was like an automatic win because it's so hard to get it through. But you can imagine, you saw even the video how well that ball bounces, right? And the players would strike it to hit it against the wall to send it, to different places. So if you got it in through that hoop, your team won. I think my biggest pet peeve here is the misconception about the captain of the losing team being sacrificed or something like that, which is really funny because when I was there in Chichen Itza, the guides were telling the story a different way. They're like, oh, they sacrificed the winners. And I'm like, well, then who'd want to play,
Then you're trying to lose.
Right, exactly, right? So again, this is a tale that they tell to tourists, and it's somewhat true, but it's more complex than that. It's more like, okay, so when two Mayan cities would go to battle, and they would go out into the battlefields, which are usually away from the cities, and one of the kings or lord of a Mayan city gets captured. He gets taken back to the victor's city, and then was usually like tortured, put through the rigor, and then forced to play a mock ball game, after which he would be sacrificed. So when sacrifice occurs, like in relation to ball games, it's happening in very specific circumstances, right? For very specific rituals and ceremonies. In fact, they would have like mock combat and mock ball games too, in which people would be sacrificed in Tenochtitlan during certain festival months in the Mexica calendar. So sacrifice is associated with the ball game, but again, it's more of a ritual thing. Your normal, everyday, like pickup ball games or ball games that would have been organized for a market day, no one's getting sacrificed then. Because after a while, if you keep killing the losers, no one's gonna play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, wait, let me show some pictures of some ball courts
Sure.
I had linked your article with David Anderson in the chat, the communal role of the Mesoamerican ball game. I'll put it in there again, and I'll put it also in the details for the video for anybody watching the recording. What happened to my mouse? Oh, there it is. So this is some photos of the ball courts at Chichen Itza.
Yeah.
Some really nice images actually on this website. It's Google Arts and Culture, that's why. So yeah, I guess this is one of those stone rings potentially used, and you can see it up here. And then I think John Hoops had mentioned in the chat that John Hoops, sorry, Professor Hoops, that the ball courts at Monte Alban were very different. So there is a variety of nuance and complexity to these games. They went on for, like you said, hundreds, thousands of years. And so what that means is there's a lot of variation in how they're played, in the architecture around them, and in the context in which they're played as well, as you mentioned, with some occasional ritual sacrifice, but most often not. Yeah,
it's like you saw at the Great Ball Court in Chichen Itza that the walls of the lateral mounds are straight, and it's pretty much almost like a palangana style, where it's what they call the wash basin, or rectangular style. Except it's been so long since I've been there, I'm not sure if the terminal mounds and the lateral mounds connect. If they do, it's kind of like a palangana style. If they don't, then it is eye-shaped-ish, right? So you have eye-shaped courts, which you saw the one at Monte Alban is an eye-shaped court. Then there's also T-shaped courts where they only have one terminal mound, and then there's also open where they have no terminal mounds. And then like the slope, the apron of the lateral mounds, which were used in gameplay, those vary in how slanted they are. Like there's some in the Maya region you can go to, I think it's like Copan in Honduras. They're practically flat. And then you go to Chichen Itza and they're level. And then you look at the one at Monte Alban and they're stepped. So Oaxacans liked to step the aprons of their lateral mounds, which is something we don't find in the area of Oaxaca where I work in the Najapa Valley. They didn't. They were smooth. And in there, even though the ball courts are built sometimes hundreds of years apart, they all follow the same design. In Najapa, they're all pretty much enclosed, sunken floors, and with lateral mounds that are way bigger than their terminal mounds. It's a particular style, right? So it varies all over. I mean, you think about it, this is like a tradition that, as far as we can tell, started all the way back in the Archaic period. And people played it from Arizona all the way. They play a ball game. They don't have ball courts, but they play a ball game all the way down south into Venezuela. And then they even have ball courts in Puerto Rico. So there's going to be like a lot of variation, but you're not going to be sacrificing the losers or anybody who plays too often. But it was like, it was a game that, think of it as going from pickup games in the street of soccer to kids playing soccer in school, to people meeting on the weekends, adults to just play. Then you go up to like World Cup, right? Ball games were the same way. You had like quotidian games that people just playing together. You had games organized for celebrations, and then you also had games where it was a mock one and the king died afterwards. So
here, we have an interesting question in the chat about the surfaces. Were they grass, clay, compacted dirt? Did it vary from site to site?
It varies. Yeah, so it varies. So for example, in Oaxaca, in Najapa, where I work, a lot of our floors are sometimes like compacted earth and clay, or it's compacted earth and stone. And then in a lot of other places, the floor would have been stuccoed. So so you can have earth and compact floors or stucco floors, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much longer do I have you? 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
I think let's see, the bell rings. Oh, I have a time right here. You have me until 1:48.
Okay, so we have about 12 minutes. Then let's so afterwards, by the way, I want to critique after Marijke leaves, I'm going to critique a video that Dan D. Dunker did to finish this, because it's one of the stupidest videos ever. But let's finish up with Marijke on this. And I thought we could discuss kind of the role of these kind of videos. Obviously, so let's. Do you want to start with good or bad? What do you want to start with?
Well, first, I would like to actually, before we even do that, I
Yeah.
would like to address a question in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
If someone asking if there were specialists like tennis, yes, in fact, there were well-known ball players or people who specialized in ball playing. I'm forgetting the name of this board game that's very popular, and it has all different types of names, but it's the same thing. There were actually professional players who would go around playing this board game.
Cool.
And it's the same thing with the ball game. You would have teams go around, and in fact, this is how the ball game brings communities together, is because oftentimes it will be community against community, and it operates the same way to this day, where one team will invite a team from another community to come and play, and then they'll have a match. So people, yes, there were specialists, and people did travel around playing.
That makes sense. So, okay. So let's think about this video on a couple different perspectives. One, I want to just highlight one last scene that I thought was really good. And then we can go into the role of commercialization and stuff like that, which I think is important to think about. Just in terms of communicating ethics, I think Mr. Beast does a decent job with that in several places, sort of modeling how tourists want to behave, but also how they should behave, right?
Yeah.
So here's a good example.
Well, there's some ceramic pot shards.
Whoa, this is so cool. Can I take one home?
Well, dude, we're going to jail.
I would go to jail?
Yes, sir.
All right, I won't take one home.
And like, you know, it's a funny little scene. Obviously, tourists love the idea of taking home a potsherd. But look, it's illegal. It'll get you sent to jail. And it's bad for studying archaeology, and it's disrespectful to culture. And so it communicates that really quickly in that little joke. And I think that's good, if you see what I mean.
And that's why I was, you know, after I watched the video, I was just like, like that's why it wasn't as like terrible as I thought it would be based on the first 17 seconds. He does emphasize ethical treatment of these places, respect to modern day communities whose heritage this is, and also respect to the people of the past. Like what he had to say about the Tree of Life. I wish more people would approach, perspectives in the past, that way. I think, and I do like that, that they made sure to have that discussion, like don't take home potsherds. So I really did appreciate that. I think one issue where he kind of failed, and I think this probably had more to do with the guide, honestly, but this is also one of the things that Mexico is complaining about, was when the guide shows him that funerary mask.
Oh yeah, we should show that. Yeah. What minute was that at? I have it written down. No, I don't have it. I do have it written down, don't I? There we go.
Whoa, what?
It is a funerary mask. This is the face of one of the kings of the Snake Kingdom.
The Mayans used masks like this one to shield those that have passed away from dangers on their journey to the underworld. Can I hold it?
Yes.
This was made over 1,000 years ago.
Yes.
Which means my great-great-great-great-great-grandparents weren't even alive. Why is this not in a museum? Why is a YouTuber holding this? Get this away from me. Take it.
Don't tell anybody.
Okay. I totally won't show 200 million people. That's it for this.
Yeah, so that one was like a little ridiculous to me. Like, and the thing with it is automatically you can look at it and see that it's a modern replica. It's something like exact masks like that. You can get them in many colors: black, purple, whatever stone they're using. You can find that outside of every archaeological site in Mexico. And obviously, I don't see the government as saying, no, you can't handle artifacts, but It would have been in a museum. It would have been, look at this that we recently found. They, you know, the way he just pulled it out of his bag, it was just like, we just found this. It comes from a king. Like, that would never have been allowed or permitted. So I think there, and then he says, why are they letting a YouTuber handle it? Like, why, you know, why is it in a museum? It just makes it seem like the Mexican government or INA is not very careful with their artifacts that they find. But I think aside from that, that was pretty, I think for me, other than the, like the CGI stuff, but as far as the archaeology goes, that would probably be the one quibble I had where like, okay, that wasn't ethical, or maybe what he should have said was, okay, you can find like replicas like this of, or, you know, these replicas of, and we'll purchase them and stuff like that, but don't loot them, you know, like I think a good point could have been made there. But yeah, I think other than that, the respect that he shows the sites, even the cave sites, right? You know, they do goof around a little bit, but they show respect to the sites. They show respect to the indigenous Maya, including the modern community. And I also saw them being, you know, just kind of very, you know, at least, you know, careful around, you know, the sites themselves. I've seen the way sometimes people treat archaeological sites, and you know, yeah, they were being a little goofy, but they weren't being very destructive, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, they
I do
weren't,
appreciate
and they
that.
were communicating some of those things. And then, you know, some people were wondering, well, why let people do this? And I think sort of the tweet that yesterday was sent by the governor of Campeche, I'm not sure how to
Campeche.
pronounce that. Yeah,
Campeche, yeah.
Was a good reason why. Leda Sansores, she mentioned how, look, this province has had very little development, and this visit has given a ton of exposure, which should hopefully bring tourism and attention, which is good. I mean, you know, we criticize, I saw somewhere Professor Hoops saying, you know, we should make replicas of everything like Lascaux with the French, which, you know, I actually just interviewed Dr. Zahia Watts for my channel, and he was saying that the problems with tourists coming and the damage that gets done. But the reality is we do want to share archaeological heritage with the world. It is, you know, it's local heritage with local stakeholders, but it's of interest to more people, and that can help the local economy. And so, you know, like, this is why we put so much effort into conservation and preservation and presentation of sites. And so, you know, that's a good thing, because hopefully there will be more people going to these areas to be tourists and see this stuff in person. You know?
And I think, you know, obviously Chichen Itza is the big famous site, and that gets all the visitors, right? So it was really cool to see him go into Calakmul, and then he went to Balam Canche, and I've never been there. I've never even heard of it. I mean, there's so many Mayan sites out there, but so it was cool to bring attention to those sites in particular. I think people need to go visit the sites outside of like the big popular ones, because there's so much fantastic archaeology out there. In fact, there's one city, I think it's called Tonan, in Chiapas. It's like on the way to, it's around or near Palenque, right? Or it's on the way there. That site is amazing. Like, in some parts even prettier than Palenque or Bonampak. But no one goes there. So you can go there and just have an entire Mayan city to yourself. And I think, you know, that bringing attention and bringing more tourism to these areas of Mexico that people don't go to is going to be very helpful, because, you know, the economies suffer when there's not a lot of visitors, especially like Mexico, which is so heavily based on tourism. Obviously, you know, we need to distribute those tourism dollars around a lot more evenly. So it would be nice for people to sort of get out of the more touristy areas. You know, 'cause local, like, support for local economies does a lot to prevent damage to archaeology, because what really causes a lot of damage to archaeology is the continued looting, right? And the information that we lose.
Exposure. It costs money to keep sites, even just leaving a site open to the air, no
Yeah.
tourists coming, it's going to slowly degrade. And
Yes.
so, it's an issue where tourism dollars do not go entirely towards conservation. That happens all the time, everywhere.
Yeah.
But the percentage of it that does go towards site management and conservation and preservation is very valuable, because otherwise this material will disappear.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, it's like the stone does wear down after a while. So
archaeology is fragile, is the reality.
It's-
This is why these are ruins. There's like this whole
Yes.
video out there saying, oh my God, why does Göbekli Tepe look so ruined? And it's like, because these are archaeological ruins, you dingbat.
Yeah, right. It's 10,000 years old. Like nothing stays pristine. We were at a site called Las Trincheras. This is in Sonora, and they built a parking lot, and we went there for the opening ceremony, and everyone was so happy. Came back 4 months later, the gravel of the parking lot had already disintegrated in the desert sun. So things are fragile. They don't always stay around a lot, and so with archaeological sites, you kind of have to have this balance of preservation, but also like exposure to bring people there in order to support the archaeology, right? We got to have a certain amount of tourism, but the issue is that it tends to get stuck only at certain sites. And so sometimes also people have a very narrow idea of just sort of the complexity and of indigenous America, prior to the arrival of the Spanish, because they only go to one site.
Yeah, that's true.
And then it's like, then they're trying to like stare over the heads of so many people and trying to enjoy it. And so I hope this video does encourage people to explore more of Mesoamerica's just wondrous archaeological treasures.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Stoll. It was great to talk with you again. We'll have you on again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. I hope to be back soon. And everybody, you have a lovely afternoon or evening. Yes, and I'll see you again soon, Flint.
All right, see ya. Stick around, everybody. I have a small little coda to make fun of somebody about. So, all right, that's the Mr. Beast video. I have to say, with both of these, I watched it the first time, and I thought to myself, man, I hate this, and I'm going to trash it. And then I watched it a second time, and each time I was like, it's actually a lot better than I thought. And so I hope that we have communicated this in a fair way. Obviously, if he broke the rules of his contract with INA, then that's a problem. I support Mexico and their efforts to make sure that their own heritage and culture is protected. I want to make that clear that Mexico and indigenous people have my full support. But that said, in terms of communicating actual learning facts and in terms of communicating some important ethical messages for tourists, I think that the way Mr. Beast did that video was useful. And I hope that him and Mexico can resolve these things, because I think it would be cool. So somebody just asked, what's the coda? The coda is a fun little thing that happened yesterday. We're just going to do this really quickly. Make sure, by the way, that everybody gives this video a like so that more people can see it and we can help boost this channel. But yesterday, I can't really call him a friend. I don't really like the guy at all. The guy has made up so many lies and harassing points about me. But Dan, the debunker, made this video right here. Let's hear what he has to say.
Announced that it had found a new tomb in Saqqara. Oh, well, a new to us tomb. It's an ancient tomb. It's said to house the first 5th dynasty pharaohs, Userkov's son, Userefre. And this tomb is said to be noteworthy because it has the largest door to nowhere, as fake doors that are a common feature in Egyptian tombs. This one's 14 foot tall, 3 foot wide, and pink granite. It is impressive. It's nothing to be scoffed at. However, it's not the most impressive feature of the find, in my opinion, and the most impressive thing to come out of the find, in my opinion, would just happen to be the fact that we are getting 2 different stories from official sources on the nature of this find. So strap yourselves in, grab something to drink, kick your feet up, get ready to hear me mispronounce some more names. Hi, my name is Dan, and welcome to the...
This guy is the biggest idiot in the world. The biggest absolute idiot in the world. This video has 123,000 views in the last 23 hours. And this guy, he makes a claim that Egyptologists are lying because of the two different stories about this tomb presenting different dates for this tomb. And he's saying that Egyptologists, they lie about how they present dates and provide when tombs were built. Well, anybody want to guess why he's an idiot? He's an idiot because he combined two different stories about two different tombs. One, a tomb that was published in Fox News on May 11th behind this false door. You heard him mention that, right? And this is in Saqqara, and that's the tomb of Userefra or Wasserefra. And second, he presented evidence from this other tomb, which is a first dynasty tomb. And if you noticed in the video, he said first, fifth dynasty. He got it all wrong. This was presented by Dr. Joseph Wegner, who I've been communicating with to get him on the channel because I know him from my time at Penn to talk about this awesome tomb at Abydos, dating all the way back. It's an unknown tomb from 3600 BC. And so he somehow, Dan the debunker, somehow mixed up these two stories about two different tombs in two different cities in ancient Egypt and used his misunderstanding to claim that Egyptologists have lied about their chronologies and their dates for different things. So I don't know what else to say other than to end this by saying, yeah, I agree with Paul Barford here. Dumbass Dan Richards debunking. He is a fucking dumbass, and he goes around on his channel claiming that Mr. Beast misinforms people. He claims that I lie. This guy is an idiot. He's just a fucking idiot. I don't understand how anybody pays attention to him. That's really all I gotta say. He doesn't know how to read two different news articles. Like, what the hell is wrong with this dude? This guy is just, he's like a laughing stock, man. Like a fucking idiot. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say other than he's a fucking idiot. No, I do have one more thing to say. Listen to what he told me when we were on Piers Morgan together. Because listen to what he said to me and Milo Ross, Minuteman. Because this is absolutely hilarious. Let me find the clip, because this just goes and shows you this dude who presents blatantly false information based off of misreading Fox News articles. Here's what he tells me about his knowledge of ancient Egypt to my face. By the way, I've excavated in Egypt. I've been there. He hasn't. Come on, load, you stupid thing. There we go. All right, bear with me, everybody. Bear with me. I'm almost there. There we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. This is the money shot.
Keep out of their lane, the mainstream guys.
Well, let's put it this way. Like Milo just said, we're talking about people with expertise in certain fields, and like Flint has studied seeds. That's his job. Now, by the time I was 25, I'll go out on a limb. I can say this with confidence. By the time I was 25, I'd studied the pyramids more than both Milo and Flint have at this point in their lives combined. I know a lot about it. Graham Hancock knows a shitload about that stuff, but they will dog him to the bitter end because he doesn't know as much about stratigraphy. He doesn't know as much.
This dude has the fucking temerity to claim he knows more about the pyramids than I do. He's never been to Egypt. He's never been on an archaeological dig. Why? Because he's read Graham Hancock. And he claims I study seeds, which I don't do. Yeah, God, this guy's just an idiot. Sharon, thank you for the super chat, super sticker. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I just don't know what to say. Oh, somebody here went to school with Milo. That's pretty cool. All right, I'll take a few questions and answers. I don't have too long. Today is my 16th anniversary. I've been married to my lovely partner, my lovely wife, for 16 years. Here she is, Yanina Martini. She is the producer behind the channel. She does all our video editing and graphic design, and we got to go out for dinner. We got a hot date soon. So if you have some questions, pop them in the chat. I think now is the time to pop them in the chat. So let's see what we got. I have a few little pinned things. Somebody had asked, so no monetized travel guides for Mexican location. No. People with appropriate permits can monetize archaeological material for documentaries or tour guiding or whatever. But you need to have appropriate permits and make sure that you're doing it ethically and da-da-da-da. You have to follow the laws, is really all that was there. A quick note that Mr. Beast was there with archaeologist Guillermo de Anda, who took him down into the cave where the Tree of Life was. So there were actual scholars that were helping inform Mr. Beast. And Sabina notes that she hopes that this channel will dethrone Mr. Beast for the top channel on YouTube. And I think we're getting close, okay, y'all? Make sure you like and comment and share my videos so that we can take down Mr. Beast. You know, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what we got to do. Let's make real archaeology cool again. Yeah, so, okay, let me go back to the main chat. Let's see what we have. Do we have any comments? Can I get Ed Barnhart on? Yes, I've actually been in touch with Ed. I hope to have Ed Barnhart on in the future. He wants to come on. So, yeah, that's the plan. Thank you for the anniversary stuff. When will the Hawass interview be out? I'm not sure yet. We're hoping for this weekend. We're going to get on it as quickly as we can. Meat Eater, any update on the Patreon Discord server? Yes, I've just started figuring this out. I'm sorry, I did not expect to have Dr. Zahi Hawass's team get in touch with me for an interview. So that sort of took up a bunch of my weekend. And then I have several more live streams this week. But I promise you, I will promise that there will be a Discord. We're going to start it with the patrons on Patreon first, partly because I want to test it out there. And YouTube takes a much larger cut of the membership money than Patreon does. So I want to reward those who are on Patreon and are my patrons there by giving them first access to the Discord server while we work out the kinks. I am also unsure if I can link it to both membership and Patreon, so I'm going to have to look into that. But yes, we'll be moving on this. I want to develop more of a community for asking questions behind the scenes and sharing what my updates are on the channel for those of you that are channel supporters. On that note, do remember that channel supporters get priority questions and behind the scenes updates. So yeah. So does pseudoscience promote excitement in our fields? Does science fiction create real scientists? I think that science fiction creates real scientists. My problem with pseudoscience is that it relies upon rhetoric that accuses us of lying, accuses us of hiding the past. It weaponizes the popularity of pseudoscience against real science. So no, in my mind, pseudoscience does not at all promote excitement in said fields. It actually just promotes harassment of us, and it promotes lies and misinformation, and I fully oppose pseudoscience. I am in full support of science fiction. So yeah. Yes, that was a photo from New Orleans I saw somebody mentioned. That was from last year. I'll post a photo from tonight's dinner later on. Let's see. What other questions do we have? Brahmi boy, for a few years, my dream has been to become an archaeologist. What is the best university to study archaeology in the Netherlands? There's actually a number of really good universities in the Netherlands that focus on different types of archaeology. Like if you want to do paleoanthropology, Leiden University, where Marie Soresi is a fantastic university. Groningen has one of the best zooarchaeology and Aegean prehistory. So if you're into ancient Greece and you're into animal bones, I collaborate with a number of students, postdocs, and professors at Groningen. Amsterdam University, University of Amsterdam. Also, I've been there for a lecture. They have phenomenal archaeological resources. There's a number of really good universities in the Netherlands for studying archaeology. You're going to have to think through what type of archaeology you're interested in focusing on, and that might help you choose which university to study at. So just research their archaeology departments. But those 3 universities are all top-notch, as are others in the Netherlands that I'm probably forgetting about right now. No, thank you so much, Christopher. I appreciate it. And no, I cannot believe how much attention people like Graham get with their misinformation and their fantasies, but whatever. We're growing here, all right? We're gonna keep growing until we get more attention on real archaeology is my goal. Let's see. Any more questions? I need to organize my own $14,000 per head tour. Glenn, that's a great idea. I'm actually hoping to start leading some tours. I've started planning preliminarily a tour to Greece. I'll call it the Atlantis tour. Is my goal. We have to make sure it all materializes. I've also started looking into organizing some tours in other areas, but that's going to take some time. It's just, you have to do this stuff way in advance. So I'm slowly working on organizing in-person tours to archaeological sites that I can lead, because I think that there'd be an interesting hope for it. Yes, this is a great question. Franklin Sterling III. We have several guests coming. So tomorrow at 5 p.m. UK and noon Eastern U.S. time, I want to advertise that we will have on Dr. Marijke Hanna. She is an Egyptologist, and we will be talking about the future of Egyptology. She just published a book, The Future of Egyptology, with, I think, Penguin Press, with Marijke Hanna. Here is the link. Go give it a share. Go give it a like. Leave some comments in the chat. That is tomorrow. On Wednesday at 5 p.m. UK, noon Eastern, I will have Dr. Manveer Singh on to discuss his new book, which is called Shamanism, the Timeless Religion. So we're going to delve into the archaeology and anthropology of shamanism. And that book, by the way, comes out tomorrow. I have him on Wednesday. And it is Time's Nonfiction Book of the Month, Time Magazine's Nonfiction Book of the Month. So that should be a really exciting conversation as well. Both of those I'm really looking forward to. And then Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. UK, 10 a.m. Eastern, I will have on Dr. Jane Draycott to discuss her new book, Fulvia, the woman who broke all the rules in ancient Rome. And her book is actually published with my publisher, Atlantic Books, who's publishing the UK edition of my book that I'm still writing on Atlantis and Lost Civilizations. So it's a packed week. And then with any luck, we will get our interview with Dr. Zahi Hawass out by the weekend. If not, we have another video that we can get out by the weekend. Let's see. The Brujo, I really want to thank you. We will definitely have a couple glasses of wine tonight on your dime. I really appreciate it. And am I a Trekkie? Yeah, I like Star Trek, Sabina, but I'm more of a Star Wars fan than a Star Trek fan, but I love to watch some good Star Trek, both the TV shows and the movies. I haven't seen any of the newer TV shows. I probably should catch up, but yeah. Yeah, everybody make sure to like this. I see that Life Moto has become a new channel member. Fantastic. Do I believe that pseudo-archaeology is more famous than real archaeology? And do I think real archaeology could overtake the fame of pseudo-archaeology soon? I mean, Abosor, that just sort of depends on how you define pseudo-archaeology. I don't think outright pseudo-archaeology is more famous than real archaeology. I don't think ancient aliens or Atlantis, more people go visit Pompeii or the pyramids and go to museums every year than tune in for those TV shows or buy those books. On the other hand, I think pseudo-archaeology is more popular on the internet than real archaeology, and that influences things. And at the same time, I think if we have a very broad definition of pseudo-archaeology to just include wrong archaeological interpretations, I think that's by far the most popular, simply because very few people take real archaeology classes at the university level. So very few people actually understand what real archaeology is. I like to think that's one of the things that makes my channel a little unique, is I have on so many colleagues so that we can really flood the internet with the up-to-date version of how archaeologists think about archaeology, rather than kind of a lot of the either debunking or more intro level overviews that we see on most other channels. I'm trying to really give everybody a sense of what 21st century archaeology is about, because what I find is that just people don't understand what we do, and they don't understand the kinds of questions that we ask in today's world. And so that's really the impetus behind my channel, is to really to get that voice out there more clearly. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some other channels that do great jobs. You know, we all know the usual customers, David Miano, Stefan Milo, Mini Minuteman, History of Kaylee has on a lot of experts. Yeah, Inside Archaeology, there's a lot of good ones. You go on real-archaeology.com for a list of great channels. Let's see. Yes, everybody remember to like the video. I see that somebody became a member. Life Moto, welcome to the club. That's awesome. And let's see. I'm going to scroll down and try to finish this up. Would I be able to direct people to perhaps join archaeological digs, perhaps a form of subscription that gives news on call for participation, perhaps in Europe? That's tough. Archaeological.org collects a variety of different digs, but this is going to have to do more with what's available in your local area. I would suggest researching your local universities and local museums to see if there are any archaeological digs that are accepting volunteers. There are thousands of archaeological digs around the world, and many of them do accept volunteers. So you're going to have to look into it in your own local region. It's complicated, and there aren't many aggregates, but the Archaeological Institute of America does provide a nice listing of digs that are available for students and volunteers, digs that specifically advertise that on their website. So archaeological.org, you can find it on there, including digs in Europe and in America. So that would be what I would think is the best way to look, but that's a difficult one. There's just so many digs out there. It's really tough to tell. And I don't know most of them. Let's see. Thank you, Carl. Yes, this channel is thankfully starting to grow, and I'm very thankful to see that. Somebody says interview Professor Dave. We're working on some stuff. I hope you'll see Professor Dave on this channel. I don't know, in the next month, 2 months, something like that. Do I love being an archaeologist? I do love being an archaeologist, as I hope you can tell. I'm very passionate about it. I enjoy it. I like to communicate archaeology. I like to be on digs getting all dirty. I like to study archaeological materials. I like to be in a lab doing science. And I like teaching archaeology. The job itself, though, sucks because there aren't many jobs out there and they don't pay very well. So in that sense, it sucks. It's also way too much work for too little pay, but it is what it is. Let's see. Okay, by the way, guys, Cardiff is not closing their archaeology department. Let's not have that out there. They are still proposing, though, to close their ancient history department, which includes several archaeologists that I am colleagues with. They are also proposing to close their religion department, which also provides opportunities for archaeology. They are doing a severe hiring freeze, which I imagine might impact me renewing my position. We will see. I will be staying in Cardiff, though, for the next year, regardless of whether my position is renewed or not. If it is not renewed, you will expect to see me doing a lot more YouTubing, as well as some other work on the side. Okay. I think that is a good wrap-up point. I want to thank you all for... let's remember to like the video, subscribe, and get this going. We have more stuff coming. You know, like rock on.